Hi everyone, I'm Farmer Brad, and in this episode I'm going to be going over the varieties of crops I'll be growing in my home garden this year. I want you to enjoy this video. Don't worry about writing these things down. I'm going to put a list in the description below, so that way you can just print it up or copy it, take a picture of it, and you can just enjoy the video rather than writing some notes. So let's get to it. First up is beets. I'll be growing Touchstone. It's a golden beet. I love it because it's a little less dirt, earthy tasting than your red beets. Next up, cantaloupes. I'll be growing two varieties, Goddess and Sugar Cube. Goddess is my personal favorite tasting. It's about 4 to 6 pounds, and it's early ripening compared to other cantaloupes. Sugar Cube is a small personal sized cantaloupe, about a little bigger than a softball, great for kids. I like to cut it open, split it in half, put some yogurt and some fruit in there, and the kids really love it. Next up is carrots. I'm going to create my own rainbow mix, so I've got 3 varieties: orange, which is romance, Yellowbunch, which is yellow, and purple elite, which is purple. Try to find ones that all have the same days to harvest so they all get ready at the same time. Cucumbers, I'll be growing Taurus, which is the long English cucumbers. They do need to be trellised so that they stay straight. I'll be growing Picolino, which is a pickling cucumber. And for your larger slicers, I'll be growing Corinto and Socrates. Fun fact about Corinto is it's parthenocarpic, which means if you live in the city or somewhere where there aren't a lot of bees, Corinto does not need bees for pollination. So you can still get fruit and not have to worry about if bees are going to be visiting you. Next up is kale. I'll be growing Redbor, which is a red kale. It's sweeter than the green. And I'll also be growing Lacinato, which is a dinosaur kale, really good for soups. And new to me this year is I'll be growing a calibration mix, which is a mix of several different varieties of baby kale. So they're going to grow to about 4 inches, and then you're going to harvest it like you would a baby lettuce mix. Except this one's all full of different varieties of kale. So I'm pretty excited about that. For leeks, I'll be growing Tadorno. For lettuce, I'll be growing Harris Blend Baby Leaf Mix, which just like that calibration mix I just mentioned, it's a baby leaf mix of all different varieties of lettuce, and you're going to harvest them at about the 3 to 4 inch stage. And for your head lettuce, I'm going to be growing a pretty cool product from Johnnys called Salanova. Now Salanova is going to grow like a regular head of lettuce, but when you harvest it, you're going to flip it on its side and cut off the lower portion, and the head is going to fall apart into all baby leaf lettuce mixes. So, a normal head of lettuce is going to have big fat leaves, as it gets bigger. Well, the Salanova is all going to stay. It all grows, baby leaves, and it's a really cool product. If you haven't tried it, I definitely give it a recommendation. Next up is onions. I'm going to be growing Parade, which is a scallion. I really like scallions because you can use the top almost in replace of chives. So it actually serves 2 purposes. And Elsa Craig, which is a green onion. It's meant for fresh cut and fresh use. It's not going to store. It probably only lasts you a couple weeks, but they're delicious grilled. Next up is parsley. I'll be growing the banquet variety of parsley. Next up is peas. I'll be growing 2 varieties of peas, an English pea. Pick the pea and you got to shell it, meaning you don't eat the pod. You open it up and you pull the peas out and you just eat the peas only. I'll also be going sugar snap peas, which are peas you eat the whole thing. They're smaller peas, but you take the whole fruit, pod and all, and eat the whole thing. Really tasty. For peppers, I'll be growing Cubanelle. It's a long, skinny green one. It's my personal favorite. Love it on fried pepper sandwiches. And I'll also be growing 2 bell peppers, Intruder and Millennia. Millennia is an orange bell pepper, and Intruder is a green to red bell pepper, meaning it starts off green and it grows to full-size green, at which point you could pick it, or you can leave it on the vine, and in a few more weeks it'll turn red. It'll be a little bit sweeter. Radishes, I'll be growing Cherry Bell. For summer squash and zucchini, for summer squash I'll be growing Multi-Pick, and zucchini I'll be growing Elite. Both of those, I've tried different varieties of those crops, and those are the tried and true. Just stick with those 2 if you can find them. They're excellent varieties. For winter squash, I'll be growing a Buttercup, the Burgess strain, and a Honey Nut, which Honey Nut is a newer one out there. It's one of my favorites and everyone's favorite. It's a mini butternut, about 1.5 pounds at most. So it's good for just you, maybe you and one other person, but it's much sweeter than a butternut as well. So if you haven't looked into it, give that a shot. Swiss chard, I'll be growing Bright Lights. Bright Lights is pretty cool because it has a rainbow color of stems. You're gonna have red, orange, pink, purple, white. Really cool mix. For tomatoes, For the big tomatoes, your slicers, I'll be growing Jetstar and Big Beef Plus. For cherry tomatoes, I'll be growing Nature's Bite and Super Sweet 100. Both of those are red round. I'll be growing Sun Gold, which is a yellow round. Super sweet, one of the sweetest cherries out there. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a long shelf life, so if you want something to last a while, this isn't the one. But if you're just gonna eat it within the first few days, definitely try this one. And for your grapes, I'll be doing Ruby Crush and 5-Star Grape. Ruby Crush is a determinate variety, 5-Star is an indeterminate. And I'll just touch on that briefly when you're looking at tomatoes. Indeterminate tomatoes continue to grow up, meaning they're gonna produce fruit all season long, and you'll have a consistent supply. Determinate tomatoes grow like a bush, where they're gonna get to be about 3 feet. They're gonna produce a bunch of fruit, all kind of within a span of a month, month and a half. So for that reason, most home gardeners are gonna choose the indeterminate, so they have a supply all season long. And finally, watermelons. I'll be growing seedless watermelons. I'll be growing Ocelot, which is a red one. It's about 5 to 7 pounds. Amarillo, which is a yellow watermelon. And Orange Crisp, which is an orange watermelon. So I'll have a couple different colors at the end. Hopefully the goal is to pick them all, cut them up, and make a nice little display. Now keep in mind, seedless watermelon varieties do not produce viable pollen. So what you'll need is a pollinator watermelon variety, which gives the bees access to viable pollen that they can then take and transfer to the seedless varieties. So for those pollinator varieties, I'll be using Ace Plus and Wildcard Plus. Well, I hope you enjoyed my varieties. If you have any questions, comment below. And if this still sounds stressful, my goal is to make this not stressful. I don't like stress. I can't imagine any of you like stress. So if this all sounds really stressful, don't let it be. Don't quit. You don't have to do it all at once. What I want you to do is find a trusted nursery near you. They're all over the place, and you can just go down there, and chances are they're going to have everything you want to grow already at transplant stage, taking that work out for you. So keep that in mind. Do some research. If you go to these places, they're probably going to have varieties that they trust. They want you to succeed, so they're going to give you varieties that they have faith in. And also check the labels. Most of these things should have little labels in them. And even though they're little, they're going to have a wealth of information. You know, days to harvest. They'll have light requirements, water requirements, fruit size, and maybe some different things on the plant growth habitats and things like that. And then ask the employees there. They should be knowledgeable enough to help you and point you in the right direction. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Sweeter than the red. Damn you! Hate phones. It's on silent. Why are you still making noise? Still too much work. I'd recommend listen to that dog. Trying to take a video. Brutus. No. Why do cows have hooves and not feet? They lactose. See you next time.